everyone, welcome to the Sigma 3 Survival School YouTube channel. And today I'm going to talk a lot about survival trapping, and we're going to take you through our survival course. And what we've done out here at Sigma 3 at the Arkansas headquarters location is we wanted to design a trapping course that was almost like a golf course or putt-putt style course where you go from hole to hole to hole learning all these different traps. And what we found is that tremendously sped up the overall learning process, and guys who come out here who would have taken days to learn a certain set of traps can now learn it in an afternoon or a day. And so in this video I'm essentially going to go through and talk about these different primitive and modern traps and kind of prioritize which ones are the best and lay out all the different types of snares, deadfalls, bird traps, you name it. So stick with us, and this first trap is going to be the Paiute Deadfall, and we'll tell you why that's the best. In order to construct your Paiute Deadfall, you're going to need a few pieces of wood. Your first piece being your base piece, and this length should be about hang 10 plus 2 or 3, and it'll vary on the size of the deadfall that you're using. And then you're going to take and make a 45 on one side of it. That is done best with your axe, it's the quickest. And then take your knife and clean it up and make a flat top here for the trap triggers to sit together. Your second piece is your top piece, and these go together. The length of it is about hang 10 plus 2 or 3 inches. There is a number 7 notch carved on this one side. We've flattened the area that the rock or the deadfall is going to sit on, and then we made a notch down here for our rope to seat onto. We have a small bit of bank line attached to it, and then we have a small toggle stick here that goes around the base stick, and is essentially, this is a very important portion of your trap trigger. It's about the length of your pinky, about the same thickness. The last piece that you'll need for the Paiute Deadfall is a trigger stick or a bait stick. And the size or length of it really depends upon the size of the deadfall and how far back you have to go into it. So you'll typically gauge the distance once you get the rest of the trap parts constructed. There's a lot of reasons behind my choice for Paiute Deadfall as kind of overall best survival trap. And one of the reasons is the amount of these traps that you can construct in a short amount of time. They have a very sensitive trigger system, and they are also very modular. You can scale this up for very, very small game like rats or mice, all the way up to maybe even something as large as a raccoon or a small dog. So it's very modular. You can use it in a ton of different environments. The only downside of this trap is that you do have to have a little bit of string, but we will show you a variation that doesn't require string, that's simple to construct. But even if you don't have string, you can make primitive cordage pretty quickly. When setting the trap, use one hand to lift it and look for a balancing point on the back of the deadfall or the rock, and try to find its best balance point. Then find a spot where you can put your Paiute base and your top piece underneath it and it's stable. Make sure it's not leaning off to one side or the other. Then you're going to take your toggle, wrap it around your base piece, and I'm just going to kind of measure the distance. Find a crook or small crack or place in the rock that you can prop this up against, and then slowly let off pressure on it. When placing the bait stick, you want to make sure that when you put the bait onto the stick that you either physically tie it on or make a point at the end of this and actually spear the bait on, or you can split it in the middle with your knife and jam it in between the split. But just make sure that your bait is difficult to get off of the trigger stick to increase your overall chances. The next thing that you want to focus on is your funneling. Funneling is extremely important in trapping, and essentially what that means is you are using kind of items from the area in order to funnel the animal to the exact spot that you want it to go to. Now, some of the animals that we will trap in a Paiute are extremely quick, and so we want to limit the amount of escape spots that they have that they can get out of quickly if they notice the deadfall. And you want them to essentially go back as far into the trap before they can actually get to the trigger, so that they have less of a chance of escaping. And you can really use anything. You can stack up stuff wherever you want it. You can throw leaves on top of it in order to camo it. When we're setting up our funneling, we want to make the animal travel as far back into the deadfall as we can possibly get him before he can get to the bait source. So we've established our funnel on this side, and we want the animal to come in. The animal will walk in, see the bait, try to grab the bait, and this is a very sensitive trigger. On average, you can make approximately anywhere from 30 to 50 Paiute deadfalls a day. One of the many reasons it makes it such a great trap for survival, because we need to be able to reproduce traps quickly to increase our overall odds, but they also need to be effective. The Paiute deadfall is extremely modular type primitive trap, so it can be set up in a plethora of areas. But one place that it works great is areas that have lots of flat rocks. You can use it with wood deadfalls, but it works best in areas along cliff lines or any places that you can find rocks in great abundance. Okay, so that's the Paiute Deadfall, and if you've got an interest in, learning a whole bunch more of these traps, we do have survival trapping courses, and then all the standard programs. We go through the survival trapping, and we get much more in depth and kind of help you pull the whole survival trapping ideology together, and where these traps work, what animals they go for, and so forth and so on. Make sure that you keep watching the video series. This is going to be a continually thing that we just keep adding more and more traps to. I know at least 50 primitive trigger systems myself, and Josh knows a lot as well. So we're just going to make this a all-out, every primitive trapping skill that you can think of. So hang tight, and we'll be back with some more videos soon.